Yes, ladies and gentlemen, all of these people speak English as their first language. It's no worries, we have two beds at the other room. His caption, she alone is asking to stay with me alone. And her next line in this dialogue is, beg for me to stay with you. I joke. That's a topic for a video.
Little sister, don't you? Little sister, don't you? Little sister, don't you kiss me once or twice? Don't say it's very nice and then you run. Little sister, don't you do what your big sister done? Well, I used to pull your big tails and I beat your turned up nose. But baby, you've been growing, and baby, it's been showing from your head down to your toes. Little sister, don't you? Little sister, don't you? Little sister, don't you kiss me once or twice? Say it's very nice and then you run. Little sister, don't you do what your big sister done?
Shout out to all the brokenhearted people in the audience. Shout out to all the brokenhearted people in the world. You know, I ain't laughing at you. And I'm not really here to laugh at the topic of this video. I'm not here to make a joke out of it. It's real easy for me at age 42 to laugh at these kinds of trials and tribulations and tragedies in my own life. And when you get to be a middle-aged man, it gets easier and easier to laugh at other people's tragedies as well. But, you know, I know the struggle, and I ain't laughing at you. So this is Pokimane. Pokimane! Right into our man friend here. Okay, so we got a hotel room, but I can still stay in yours. But I can also stay in mine because, you know, emoji. If you don't respond, then I'm going to go to my hotel room instead of yours. On the right-hand side in pink text is the caption added by the male witness to this history. 2 years later, he reflects, she very clearly says, but I can stay in yours. To me, this meant she was open to staying with me and the girls would get Pokey's room because during this time I would sleep over at hers often. This whole thing with coming on the internet and bragging about who you've had sleepovers with in a context of brokenhearted people where both sides are either emphatically or implicitly stating that you never had sex. So you've slept in the same bed repeatedly, but have not had sex. I hope you guys can appreciate that from the perspective of a 42-year-old man. It's not just strange. It's baffling. Quote, I was totally getting the impression that we were going to sleep in the same room via these texts. What ended up happening was that they all stayed in my hotel room, but Pokey and I ended up sharing a bed. But she's careful not to include that in her response. My purpose of showing these texts was to show the behavior and kind of relationship we had, and that we would often sleep over in or out of the house. She tries really hard to put into question my credibility. Man, you really do not build up your skills in English language composition playing those video games. The diction, the quality of sentence structure, it's off the meat rack. She really tries hard to put into question my credibility by saying it was totally out of context because what was said versus what happened was different. Facts are, we did share a bed, period. So this is what I find so hard to relate to. So, I mean, facts are, she says you guys never dated, you never had a relationship, you never had sex. So the fact that you shared a bed, what's the significance of this? And why are we why are we having this conversation? I mean, I get it. I think there are probably broken-hearted people in the audience who can relate to this. I think there are probably people who like forced their way into the friend zone the same way this guy did, to such an extent that they were being treated as like a gay male friend by a straight woman, even though in fact the dude was, to whatever extent, straight and actually trying to get a relationship going with.
Okay, I'm trying harding. Ben, you better not in this game. This game's really important for me.
In this game?
This game's really important.
Wait, Lily, can I get in on this too?
No.
It's a tragedy it's not hard to sympathize with. Returning to the quoted dialogue here. Are you sure? I really want to give you the freedom to do what you want. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. It's no worries. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, all of these people speak English as their first language. It's no worries. We have 2 beds at the other room. His caption, she alone is asking to stay with me alone. And her next line in this dialogue is, beg for me to stay with you. I joke. KK, I'll come if you are sure. And he replies, yes, he's sure. And now about 2 years later, he's adding this caption complaining that she is totally exploiting his feelings for her because she knows that he wants to stay in the same room or in the same bed with her. She later in her statement tries to imply that the sleepovers all had the same tone, when in reality, the ones with others weren't romantic, but the ones with her were? Close quote. Romantic sleepover, but you didn't have sex. Where is this gonna go, dude? Like, it's genuinely baffling to me. I have been in the position, I'm only remembering one now. It's probably happened more than one. It's probably happened a couple times. I have been in the position of saying to a woman, look, if you are inviting me to sleep in the same bed with you, this is not going to be a sleepover. You and I are not just friends. So don't kid yourself about what it is you're setting up to happen next. If you and I are going to lie down in the same bed and spend the night together, you are going to wake up having difficulty walking or sitting on a chair. So let's keep it all the way real. And your willingness to tell the truth is in many cases less important than your willingness to not get what you want. Honesty doesn't just involve telling the truth. It also involves really having the strength of character to live in celibacy, to do without these things you desire, to be like, well, I'm going to be honest with this person. I'm going to tell her what the situation is. And that may result in us not sleeping together or not having a relationship now, or maybe she's not ready to have a relationship now, but she will be ready to have a relationship later. And, years later, you'll get together. Like, the decision to be honest, in some ways, that's a very short-term surface decision. And there's this deeper, more long-term commitment to really being cool, really being at peace with not getting what you want. And a lot of the discourse I hear on the internet, like, I'm sure some other YouTube channel would recommend saying the same thing I just said to you now, like as if it's like an alpha play, as if it's like a strategy, like to present yourself as alpha, like here's what's going down, so don't kid yourself. Like, I'm not coming for a sleepover. Like, we're not sharing a bed to sleep. Let's keep this straight. Somebody would present that to you as if that strategy means you get what you want, and it doesn't, right? Honesty means that you disambiguate an ambiguous situation. It means you don't get your feelings hurt. Nobody's confused. Everyone's being honest about what the situation is. But the situation may be she doesn't want you, And the truth is, probably for this dude, or a lot of dudes in this situation, probably if you can admit to yourself who she really is, you don't want her either. You just think that you do. But yeah, here's this guy's totally alpha play. She asked him to beg to sleep in the same bed with her, and he does indeed repeatedly beg. In this life, you don't make decisions about getting what you want. You make decisions about what kind of person you want to be. And those decisions, with time, not all that much time, they shape who you become. Do you want to be the kind of guy who will lie to get a woman into bed? All the men I know who did huge numbers, who slept with large numbers of women, the main aphrodisiac they were playing with was the almighty lie. Are you willing to lie to others? Are you willing to lie to yourself? Are you willing to live a lie to get laid? And what this guy's doing, I mean, it's dishonest, but really he's being more dishonest with himself than he is with the girl. Are you willing to do this kind of dishonest thing about doing sleepovers and pretending you're just friends, and then, you know, as she puts it, pushing against the boundaries of this relationship that, from her perspective, as she tells the story, is more like a straight woman with a gay male friend she just hangs out with in her hotel room and in between doing these various gigs. Is that what you're willing to do to get what you want? If so, think about 10 years, 20 years down the line, what kind of person you're going to become. And I'm not here to gas you up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm not here to tell you that that straight and narrow path of honesty leads to success or happiness. For a whole lot of people, it's going to lead to loneliness and disappointment, because, you know, telling the truth can end up with you being isolated, embittered, and alone in a world that's full of liars who really, really just want you to lie to them, who really just want you to play the same game that their other ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends did, and they may even regard you with a kind of incomprehension if you're playing it this straight, if you're really being this honest with yourself and others. You don't get to decide whether or not you get what you want, and a lot of the time, boys and girls, you think you want something, you think you want someone, and then after you get closer to them, after you get closer to the goal, you realize who they really were. You realize that you didn't really want them at all. The one thing you can control, the one thing you can decide, is what kind of person you're going to be. And the compromises you're going to make, the sacrifices you're going to make, the rules you're going to draw up that define your own sense of personal integrity, short-term and long-term, that matters a whole lot more than just getting laid.